One night, the three of us climbed through the hatch onto the dormitory rooftop and laid ourselves right near the edge. Far below, students, made small by the distance, walked from the bright circumference of one street light to the next, unaware of us. Little bits of tarred gravel pressed into our backs as I and my two college buddies talked into the wee hours, gazing at the stars. We were all believers, active in ministry. Perhaps each of us, in one way or another, felt called to ministry after college. Over the previous year or so, these lingering late-night conversations had happened fairly often, but this one was different. A threshold moment. One of our company opened his heart in a way he hadn't before. He led us into some chapters of his story we'd not known about and would not have guessed. The result was interesting to me. Instead of feeling like my best friend was less than who I thought he was, I felt like there was just more of my friend there for me to be friends with. Something of him that had been out of reach was now within reach, at hand, touchable. Recently, someone said they felt a piece of my writing was vulnerable and asked me how I'd managed that. I laughed and I said, maybe I have terrible boundaries. The truth is, I try not to share things in writing that I haven't already shared and worked through with close friends. Of course, I often hide my true self, just like everybody else. But I always come back around to the fact that my deepest desire isn't to be safe, but to be deeply known. At some point, the price of safety is too high. The difficulty of allowing my true self to show up, warts and all, is worth it, if it means making real contact. Real contact, as opposed to bumping up against one another's facades or personas. What a gift it has been to have friends who will pioneer in humility, friends who go first, opening the way for me to allow myself to be known. The psalmists do this, as do the best writers, not always saying what they ought to say, but what they really feel. Astonishingly, the greatest pioneer in vulnerability is God himself. In the Old Testament, God expresses frustration and brokenheartedness. Beside Jacob's well, Jesus makes no pretense about his weariness. It was a memorable enough detail for John to include it. He goes first when the Samaritan woman arrives, admitting his own neediness, asking her for help. So many times throughout the Gospels, Jesus plainly weeps, shows anger, grief, fear, joy, longing, soul exhaustion, and then nakedness and agony on a cross. God has shown us his true face. He's making real contact possible. If even God isn't trying to make a good impression, surely we don't have to keep up appearances. We don't have to fool ourselves anymore. We don't have to fool anybody. The big surprise is that if I meet him in that vulnerable place, there will be more of me available for Jesus to love. That makes me want to sing. And here are the lyrics to the song Only the Lover Sings, title track of the first album in the Well Trilogy. You've never met a liar. You've only met the lie that they put forth. There ain't no soul more lonely, because until you tell the truth, you can't be touched. And I want to be touched. Only the lover sings, only the one who dares to look you full on in the face finds out the shocking good news. I learned a terrible habit I speed away when the red light says to stay, and when the green light's flashing, I go to sleep to keep the light at bay. But I want to wake up, because only the lover sings. Only the one who dares to look you full on in the face finds out the shocking good news. What will you find if you look into those eyes? It's hard to believe, but maybe you're in for a surprise. I feel a new song coming, swinging like a blade that cuts through fear. I don't owe jack to confusion, now that love has come and made himself so clear. And I want to trust. I want to be touched. I want to wake up. I want to trust. Because only the lover sings. Only the one who dares to look you full on in the face finds out the shocking good news. So that is the title track to Only the Lover Sings, the first book in the Well Trilogy. The second book is A Tale of Two Trees. And later this year in September, the third book of the Well Trilogy comes out. It's called Where the River Goes, kind of based on Ezekiel 47. So, we'll be reading through these. Thanks so much for listening. You can find all the songs on Spotify or Amazon or wherever you listen to music. And the books are available through Rabbit Room, through my website, MatthewClark.net, and on Amazon. So check them out. Thanks for listening.